unless otherwise permitted by the code, is illegal. So there isn't really a process to say, hey, I want a permit to put my sign down or something like that. It's just if the police want to enforce it, they can. If not, which in most cases they don't, because it's something that's so overbroad that it's violated every minute of every day by just about everyone, then it's just not enforced in most circumstances. But it's on the books and it's being used to curtail free speech rights and actions.
Would you mind if I address that issue? We've actually been up to City Council for over this fourth week now. We have a letter of understanding from the City of Irvine. We have crafted our own. We've given them resolutions, we've given them proposals. Ray Lutz has put some before them, I put some before them, and they just continue to willfully ignore us. Last week I was at City Council on Tuesday. The very next day I was targeted by police and given a citation for illegal use of the horn, for honking my horn in 3 seconds in support of our brothers from labor who are here marching on Wells Fargo. The very moment this was happening, I was surrounded by 3 police on Chip's motorcycles. Tony Young was speaking on NPR saying he supported our right to free speech, but nobody will give us a permit or any letter of understanding or any way whatsoever to occupy this space. In a land where Citizens United makes corporate greed and money free speech, we have a right to have tents and sleeping bags, to smoke cigarettes without being cited for having ashes fall on the ground. They've called pieces of cardboard where we are writing signs structures, and that's illegal encroachment, as we're writing free speech signs on the ground. This is not sacred ground. It's set up like an army camp right now. We are peaceful protesters, not terrorists.
Your name, sir?
John Kenney. K-E-N-N-E-Y. Yes.
And a good question to ask, everybody can ask themselves, when you go to the beach, don't you set your belongings down sometimes and go for a swim? Here you can't set anything down and be more than 12 feet away, or the police come and impound it. Now, this is not what the police are here for. They're here to protect and serve, not confiscate your belongings anytime you leave them more than 12 feet away. And it happens all the time. This is not the public square that we need in San Diego. It's turned into a sanitary area where people are not allowed to do anything. It's the opposite of what should happen in San Diego. Other cities have endorsed this action. Orange, Irvine, Los Angeles, San Francisco, all have had either resolutions proposed or adopted by these cities in support. So we've been asking the city to support the resolution. They're in City Council right now, asking again for the 3rd or 4th time to at least put it on the agenda. We're asking for on the agenda. This is the only city in the state that I know of, and I've reviewed a lot of them, where you can only have 1 speaker per subject for 3 minutes. That's all we get. In Irvine, they spoke for 5.5 hours on the topic, non-agenda topic, comments for 5.5 hours without it being on the agenda. Here, what do we get? 3 minutes, 1 speaker to talk about it. This is not how we should embrace public participation. It's the opposite of what should happen. They should endorse our resolution and allow this constitutionally supported free speech to continue in San Diego.
You'll notice we don't even have any American flags up here anymore. They claimed that we were interfering with handicaps' right to climb up the stairs. We had 5 different flags along here. The American flag, this police state is tearing down. Well, they have barricades up here, basically putting the fear of the Lord into anyone who even wants to enter the square to support us. This is just unreasonable, unconstitutional, and illegal.
Is it illegal to fly the American flag? Can we put it up here? In this city, you can't fly the American flag in this area. It's over. It's way overboard.
Would you give us your name, please, and spell both?
Ray Lutz, L-U-T-Z. And wholeheartedly, we support this case. We've got to get this city turned around. I'm very, very happy that this case has been opened up. We've got a great attorney who's going to be working it. We want this changed as soon as possible. So I hope they rush this case through and slap the city back in the state.
have actually said just the opposite to us, that when we had tables, when we had tents, it was neater, it was cleaner. The nurses wanted to stay here. Women want to stay here. There's no privacy. There's no security here. We are much cleaner, organized, and more secure when we have those tents here than what you see here right now. And in fact, we've even been told that that was part of the strategy, that was to try to make us look like dirty hippies and homeless. And we've even heard that the police have been inviting homeless to come down and join our effort because they know it will drain our resources. We are providing them with food, we've given blankets, we've given tarps. We've done everything we can to make sure that our brothers who are homeless, brothers and sisters who are homeless, are taken care of here. We have not seen the same light coming from the police at all. Even the police admit it is cleaner, neater, more organized when we have tables to put our food and our stations on, when we have tents and canopies to have our stations under, and to have tents for our women and our nurses who want to be here but are afraid for their safety and security.
Hasn't been filed. Yeah, we're assembling the declarations right now from many of the folks who have been told specifically that you cannot pass through here, or when you're passing through here, you should be aware that you cannot set anything down. And once all those declarations are assembled and it's ready to file, we plan to do that later this week.
You know, let's bear in mind the attorneys that are handling this case are the same attorneys that took on Target Corporation when they tried to suppress free speech of people that wanted to talk about gay marriage in front of their stores. And you know, ultimately we won that case in court, and I would urge the city to consider that this is a legal team that can take on multi-million-dollar lawyers like Target Corporation has access to. Then they need to be prepared to either spend a lot of money or actually endorse our movement.
And can you describe more what exactly you'll file then?
Yeah, it'll be a request for a temporary restraining order and a preliminary injunction, and then ultimately a permanent injunction to either strike down this ordinance, section 54.0110, on its face, or as it's applied to people engaging in free speech as it is here. Free speech can be subject to reasonable time, place, and manner restrictions, but you can't have an ordinance that's so overbroad and puts so much unlimited discretion and authority in the police department that they can tell anybody they want that they can't put a sign down, and in effect create a completely, basically a free speech free zone where there's no free speech in the Civic Center Plaza and push everybody out to the street.
And you plan to do that Friday?
I plan to do it by Friday.
Do you guys feel like you have been unfairly targeted when you say when it comes to things outside, anything, not necessarily setting up a stand?
Absolutely. We are not trying to target the homeless here who are being basically treated like criminals for the act of being homeless in a country where 1/6 of the population is in poverty by 1970 standards. However, there are homeless all over this city who are allowed legally to sleep on the streets by a federal court order from 2005 and 2007. It's specifically down here, and it's specifically us Occupy SD people who are targeted by the police over and over and over again, even just for smoking a cigarette. Our flags are gone right now. We are not here at all. Even the people who are complaining, the small businesses are complaining they can't conduct their business. We're not here. There's no way we are harming anyone in any way. We just want to have safe, secure structures so that we can occupy in a peaceful, free speech manner.
And we have video of the police supervisor explaining why they're setting these barricades up, specifically stating on video that the barricades are set up so that when people pass through, they can be told that they can't set things down pursuant to this municipal code section. So it isn't just something that we're guessing about or we're wanting. I mean, we have them specifically saying we are enforcing this with respect to Occupy San Diego, and that's why we set the barricades up. So I think it's pretty cut and dry. They're enforcing this ordinance selectively to stop free speech in the Center Plaza. And they've said it. They've said that that's why they're doing it.
The police and the city council are in a bit of a cognitive dissonance here because they've all taken an oath to support and defend our Constitution. Article 1, the first bill, in the Bill of Rights, the First Amendment states that we have no law shall be created by Congress and subsequently they ruled or any other jurisdiction that limits our freedom of speech. Now look, we're willing to work with the city on setting up our encampment here such that we can be doing it in a safe and courteous manner to all of the businesses. There should be no business that complains about 100 or even 1,000 extra people walking around. Potentially, they're customers. So the idea that these businesses are unfairly influenced and affected by the protest doesn't make any sense. You know, if you're selling coffee and you have another 1,000 people there, just open up. You'll sell lots of coffee. But if you're closed and making a big scene with Carol DeMaio about how bad it is, you're not going to sell any coffee. So this First Amendment rights that we're talking about, this is our Constitution. Those constitutional advocates that say that we need to support it and defend, this is what we're talking about here. We're here to have meetings. We're here to talk about policies in the United States, in our government. This is what happens here. It is not just a free-for-all sleep-in. It is about conversations about our government, and we reserve the right and we demand the right to have our encampment here so that we can hold these meetings about our government. The banks have ripped us off for years. We've all been watching. We watched the foreclosure crisis. We watched the derivatives crisis. We watched the financial industry meltdown. We've all watched this. It's time to stop being obedient people and start being a little bit disobedient and go up against these big, powerful forces. Now is the time, folks, to take action. And this is where it happens, right here in San Diego and in this public square. This is where we're going to come together and fight these forces that have been ripping us off for years.
Does the ordinance require that people leave at a certain hour, like they're allowed to sleep?
Well, no, the specific ordinance that we're challenging makes it illegal at any time and any place to put down any object on any city property. So it's very overbroad, and it can be used to just selectively enforced to prevent free speech. And instead of having a free speech zone, we have a speech-free zone at the Civic Center Plaza based on selective enforcement.
If you were occupiers, they could target your cameras and your crates right this very second, and they have done exactly that to us.
This is the public square. This is public property. It's open to the public. You're all here. We're here now. But what happens is when Occupy San Diego tries to bring more people in and have their rally, they're just told by the police, when the police want to enforce the ordinance, that you can't set anything down, you can't put your signs down, you can't set down your bags. So it has nothing to do with a permit or getting a permit. This is the public square. It's just like being on a public sidewalk. We have the most free speech that you have is in the public square, but in this case it's been turned around and there's no free speech here. Correct.
And that's a question. Should we have to get a permit before we can have free speech? There was a law in the Constitution that says no law can be passed abridging our freedom of speech. So how can they say, well, in order for you to come here and speak to each other and have conversations and assemble, that now you have to have a permit? That is in violation of our Constitution. We don't have to have a permit to assemble. And does that include a tent? Now look, a corporation like Exxon can spend 3% of their net profit and spend more than everyone else in the election last time. That's all it takes. And under Citizens United, they have more speech than anyone else. They can spend millions of dollars, but a citizen can't set up one tent. They can't even set down an article on the ground. They can't make a sign on the ground. It's all backwards. It's upside down, and it has to be stopped. So I'm happy that this lawsuit is going forward, because we've got to stop this egregious misuse of this law that is so broad it takes into everything. You can't go to the beach and put a towel down. Now come now.
Anything else?
Thank you guys. Appreciate your time.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
Are you folks all attorneys?
I'm a pro se attorney. Two attorneys a month.
I'm sorry, you said you're...
I'm a pro se attorney. I'm suing, filing papers against Citibank today. Or Citigroup, actually.
Pro se.
You can defend yourself.
Oh, so you're not?
No, I'm not a licensed
Not a
lawyer.
licensed lawyer. For a businessman or?
Yeah, I suppose so. I own my own
You're
company.
associated